I remember being in the 6th grade and I went to gym. I went to PE class and my 13s got stole. You know what I mean? They got stole.
That's the worst.
And I got the worst ass whooping for it. That's how my folks were. My parents whooped me because they got stole out my locker.
You're like, what about the guy who stole them? Why?
It was a different day then too.
We are controlling transmission.
WRTS After Party. We run the station.
Well, I want to welcome all our listeners and viewers to WRTS, the After Party, Uninterrupted's new reaction show. On the menu over the next 5 weeks, we'll be discussing roundtable discussions after the Michael Jordan Last Dance doc. I'll have a different lineup with me every week. Happy to invite back Mr. Maverick Carter, who made some of his own news on social this past week. I'm sure the DMs is on fire over some comments. And future Hall of Famer and NBA All-Star Chris Paul. CP, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
No problem. What's going on, fellas?
Let's jump right into it. We just saw episodes 3 and 4 of Last Dance. Anything specifically jump out at you guys?
I think for me, the thing that I knew, but to hear Michael say it was cool, that like Scottie was a great player. He was super athletic. He had the skills. He had everything. What he didn't have was that certain level of like, fuck you, toughness. And to hear Michael say he recognized that Scottie just needed him to stand next to him and be like, yo, I got you. No, fuck those guys. I got you. And Scottie felt that. And Michael knew he needed that in Scottie. He needed Scottie to step up in order to win, but he knew Scottie needed him. And I think that was very, like, for me to hear him say that was a key moment in the latest episodes to me, because we all knew Scottie was talented, but the Pistons were punking him. They were pushing him around, and they did that to everybody, by the way. And Michael, as a young player, was just like, yo, give me the ball and let me do my thing. I don't need, I'll do whatever. And then he realized, no, I need Scottie, and this is what I need from Scottie. That was a thing that jumped out to me in these last 2 episodes.
The more I watch this, you just get a chance to see that there's no perfect team. You know what I mean? And I think, it's so dope to see even the stories, because, these stories that we seeing now are the reason a lot of us, I know for me, why I'm in NBA. I was the kid watching this stuff, going out to the backyard, trying to do all the moves. So now to be able to live it and to be in these locker rooms and be in the NBA, some of the stuff is like shocking because you go back and think about it as a kid. But now that I'm in the league, I'm not surprised, because you understand that there's no perfect teams. And the thing that I paid attention to for the longest is that nobody cares about your story until you win. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Everybody can tell this dope story or whatever and all this, but it don't mean nothing until you win. And so that's why it's dope for all of these layers to be, laid out. Because now in the world of social media, everybody know your damn business before anything
Exactly.
happens. Exactly. Everybody know, if you and your teammate get in an argument in the locker room, it's gonna be on Twitter by the time you get to the car. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so all the stuff that was going on with them has even been covered up for 20 years, which is so dope, except for the people in the circles who sort of who know. So that's why I think all of us are sitting on the edge of our seats every episode.
2 other things I would say jumped out to me, to CP's point about social media. The fact that Dennis Rodman went to Las Vegas in the middle of the fucking season. Yeah. CP, could you imagine the 15th man on a team who doesn't even play? If he did that during these times we live in, it would be a big deal. And the second thing to me was, the fact that the worm comes out of the locker room
with the Miller Lite,
downs the Miller Lite, and then jumps on he doesn't even start driving. He jumps on a motorcycle. It's like
no helmet, by the way, Mav.
It's literally like we forgot we were alive in those times that like you could drink a beer and get on a motorcycle, and everybody thought like they would get that on camera. Today, that would be a disaster.
But I think on a whole another level is, I know Phil Jackson, Lakers Phil Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I know Phil Jackson as my coach in the All-Star game in Phoenix in 2009. I never played for Phil, nor did I know this, like, Phil who just, they sort of let Dennis be who he was. You know what I'm saying? And obviously it's give and take or whatnot as far as discipline, but I've always sort of respected them coaches who like, you know, do what you got to do to show up for the game. You know what I mean? Long as you show up for the game, you show up, do your job, do what you came here to do. Yeah. And that's the thing I think Rodman kept saying. He's just, look, I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to do this, but come game time, watch you get all the rebounds, watch you make all the hustle plays. And as long as you do that, we cool.
To CP's point, I love what Phil said something about we need to get Dennis to do something. And Michael was like, Phil, basically we won the fact that Dennis has even showed up today at practice. So let's just relax.
Yeah, he's about moving his body. He said he showed up. That's the win.
He
Relax.
just showed up.
Yeah.
He won. He's here.
Yeah.
For me, it was super interesting. It wasn't even basketball. Like, you know, all first 4 episodes have been all the off the court shit. Has been like the gray champion Bulls hoodies. You know, I'm like, oh, I forgot those J's. CP, you're a Jordan athlete. You've been a Jordan athlete your whole career. Any of that jump out to you? Just the fashion, the style off the court?
Man, what? So much jump out to me. I remember I had the 3P t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like I had all that. And being a Jordan brand athlete, you know, when I watched it, like with my son and my family, you know, and I see the 13s. I remember being in the 6th grade and I went to gym. I went to PE class and my 13s got stole. You know what I mean? They got stole.
That's the worst.
And I got the worst ass whooping for it. That's how my folks were. My parents whooped me because they got stole out my locker.
You're like, what about the guy who stole them? Why I'm getting whooped?
It was a different day then, too.
You took 2 L's.
It was a different day then, and Robin and Charles didn't play. But you know, I've been a Jordan brand athlete now, and I never forget. It wasn't until maybe my 5th year in the league or something that I finally got another pair of them with the hologram on the side. So all this stuff is me reliving my childhood because, you know, I couldn't go get Jordans. Me and my brother had to work. Or try to, my brother used to work at my granddad's service station so he could go buy Jordans, you know what I mean? So it's crazy even now still to know MJ.
What was it like meeting MJ at a young age? Because CP, you met him as a teenager, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, man, I probably met him before that, but we was at the Jordan game.
Yep.
We was at the Jordan game, the high school All-American game. We was in D.C. You was there, huh, man? You was there?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
What was that like, meeting Mike, like meeting, you know, G.O.D. as a kid, basically?
It was crazy because, like I said, it wasn't social media. So now a lot of these kids, when they meet us NBA players or whatever, they feel like they know us already. Most of them really do know us already. But, man, it was, for a kid at that time and that age, it was like a god, for real, man, walking in, you know, because he was what everybody wanted to be. You know what I mean? So we didn't have YouTube. So me and my brother saw MJ and Scotty do something. We was going out in the backyard trying to beat them, trying to replay them. And so me and Shannon Brown actually was sitting in the seats right next to him, waiting for him to come in and take a picture. And he walked in wearing it's like blue pants. It's crazy. I remember all that. A blue shirt with 23 on the front. I think he had the white and blue 18s on. And he sat there and, you know, we like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It's MJ.
And Mav, you met him at a young age as well, right?
Yeah, I was probably it was like 01. So I was probably 19 or almost 20. He hadn't quite pulled the trigger to come back to play for Washington yet. He was still dabbling with the idea. And I went with LeBron. We went up to Chicago to work out at Hoops, the gym, where Michael and many other pros, Stackhouse was there, and Penny Hardaway, and Paul Pierce, and Antoine Walker, and on, and Oak was there. One day we were leaving the gym, it was the end of the day, and me and LeBron, we were young, so we hung out with my man G, who worked at the gym. So we would have to be the last to leave. We would have to be the last people to leave. Well, G, exactly. We would have to be the last people to leave because G would clean up and yada, yada. And G worked for Tim Grover. It was Tim Grover's gym, who you saw on the doc tonight. And just as we're going out the door, a red convertible Ferrari pulls down the street. And I remember it was like just that Mike always wears, CP knows, those bucket hat and he has it flipped up in the front. And when he pulled up, LeBron was like 16 or 17 at the time. We walked back in, walked up to the weight room, and we sat there and just talked to Mike for like 45 minutes. And to me, it was like, me and LeBron always says, when he got out of his car, it looked like he was floating. Like, it looked like he was floating like Aladdin. It was literally Black Jesus in the flesh. It was like the guy we have spent our life praying to. And for me, it was such a disconnect because it was like, I loved Michael Jordan. I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wore Jordans. He was my hero. But he only existed in a TV screen behind in a screen. It's like, it was a weird, I had this weird feeling of like, whoa, he is a person. Like, he's a person, because I had only ever seen him in a TV screen, right? So to see him walk and just the way he moved, it literally looked like Black Jesus. And we sat there and talked with him for 45 minutes. LeBron talked with him. And that was the first time I had ever got a chance to meet Michael when he came back that next season.
That's dope. That's dope. Speaking of LeBron, in my 7 years of working at Nike, working in Nike basketball, one of my favorite experiences was, Mav, I don't know if you remember this. You guys had come to campus for LeBron's annual business meeting. And this year we had a bunch of kids from the community come to the gym. And LeBron we had told LeBron, hey, we're going to do a shooting contest. I think it was knockout or something. And if you lose, all the kids get free LeBrons. And it was like 300 kids in there or something like that. So Lynn Merritt, shout out to the general who we all know and love, was like, man, you better not lose like 300 pairs of kicks for kids, whatnot. And Bron gets down to the finals, and no one can tell me any different. He missed on purpose so the kids could get the kicks. CP, recently a video surfaced of MJ at your camp. And I believe, as I understand the story, is you asked him to go around the world, and that if he missed, the camp would get free J's. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, so we was in Santa Barbara. So MJ does a camp in Santa Barbara. And what's crazy about it is, hell, I don't know if you worked at Mav or was there, but I
never worked there, but I've been there.
Yeah, we worked it when we was in college. You know what I mean? And so MJ did this camp for years. Like, the camp was like legendary, and he used to hoop back in the day with the college guys and all of us, even when I was in college. And so fast forward, I'm in the NBA, I'm living in LA, and my son, little Chris, is a camper. So it's funny, at that camp, me and Monte Ellis was both at camp every day. We'd be at camp every day. And then MJ say something about playing 36 holes. Didn't he say something about that in the doc today?
Yes.
Just so y'all know, that's not a lie. He played 36 holes every day. Every day. And so even when we was out there for the camp, I went and played 18 holes with him. We got to 18. I was done. Me and my brother that's enough. He went right back to the first hole. He always played 36. But at camp, later on that evening, that night, and it's crazy, me and Monte Ellis was up there, and that was a game that they play. And I went down there, just challenged him. You know what I mean? Thinking it's a lot of kids here. Ain't no way. Like, listen, I know MJ is MJ, but still, he couldn't miss like 2 in a row or something like that. That's tough, just for the record.
Of
you
course.
know what I mean? No cap. That's tough. That's tough. And sure enough, I need to go back and look at that footage. But even on the free throw at the end or whatever, I tried to cover his eyes, like for real. Tried to cover his eyes so he couldn't, and he made it. I'm still mad about that.
Hey, one quick one I want to go back to. It's like, CP, you mentioned working camps in college, and Mav, you mentioned Bron, going to hoops. What was that like? CP, what were you holding your own when you were playing against pros in those pickups at those camps? Mav, what was LeBron, a high schooler LeBron, doing at camp against pros back then? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I think guys like CP and Bron are always, even in those times, they're smaller, not strong enough to hold their own. But the thing that basketball allows, which obviously, when you talk about basketball IQ, CP and LeBron rank at the top of all-time lists, is if you know, basketball is a sport, if you know how to play, you can fit in and not look like you don't belong, right? Unless they just keep ISOing you, then you're in it. But in those runs, there's too many good players for that to happen. So, when you watch a player like CP and Bron, even as they've now gotten to I won't call them old, but they're in the advanced stages of they're in the advanced stages of their career. They still can play the game quick. It's not because they're as quick as they used to be. They're arriving at the spot sooner. It's like the Wayne Gretzky line, right? Gretzky didn't skate to the puck. He skated to where the puck is going. So those guys, watching LeBron do that and even watching CP, because I've been watching CP a long time, they always knew how to play. So you could throw them out there anywhere. Now, watching LeBron at hoops, he didn't jump off the screen. He didn't jump out and you go like, wow, he's really good. But then when you realize, oh shit, he was 18, you go, oh, wow, that's impressive to be 18 and be out there with college guys and Stackhouse and Penny. But it's because he knew how to play, so he wasn't going to force shots or be out of place on defense and things like that.
Man, I've been playing basketball with older guys since I was young, even even like the YMCA. You know what I'm saying? Me and one of my boys from back home, John, who coaches my AAU teams, we was talking about it today because being under quarantine, I've been having, first time I really got a chance to work my son out. And so me and him were talking, me and my boy John, because he runs our basketball academy back home. We was talking about our kids and what's different. And part of it is just simply pick up basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of the grit and a lot of the stuff that we got and learned is from pickup basketball. So
you get the dog from the pickup. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember being at the YMCA at noon, and everybody got to write their name on there. And I'm hoping that don't somebody else come so they'll pick me, the kid, to play with the men. You know what I mean? So that, and then even when I was in high school, I used to try to go play pickup with Wake Forest, right? And y'all know Darius Sangala?
Of course.
Yes.
Darius Sangala was like a senior and I was like a high school kid, like a sophomore, junior, whatever. And I used to try to go play pickup. And it's crazy because Darius ended up being my teammate in the NBA. But when I was in high school and I'd go over there and play with them, if Darius missed a shot, he'd say, my ball. You know what I mean? Like 5. Y'all ever play with people that do that?
I hate that.
And I was, but I was young and I looked like, damn, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. That's just, and then as you start going, and so I remember being in college, playing in pickup games and MJ was there. And if you play on MJ's team, like Mav said, you just gotta know how to play. You know what I mean? Whatever team you on, if it's pickup, is it a real NBA team, you know who the guy is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you shoot when you open, you can create plays and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's MJ camp and everything. let him touch it. Now, when it comes to you, do something with it.
Do something with it, exactly.
If you know how to play, you can play wherever.
One of the other things that came across loudly in these episodes was the word rivalry. Some people may say that, rivalries don't exist as much in the pros these days or whatnot. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But CP, do you have a rival? Have you had a rival in your, team-wise, a rival in your career? Or what's the closest team to it?
Yeah, I had a few. I mean, when I was even way back in New Orleans, probably wouldn't look at it as a rival because they would beat us most of the time. But when we was in that, Southwest Division, we was always trying to get past the Spurs. You know what I mean? Trying to get past the Spurs. When I got to LA with the Clippers, obviously it's always going to be something when you play against the Lakers, that little in-town rivalry. But obviously we built up a strong dislike and stuff like that with the Warriors. You know what I mean? And even Oklahoma City there.
Those are fun.
Extent. Yeah, and then it's crazy. I feel like when I was with the Clippers, we had a ton of. So was Memphis. Memphis was for real. That series used to get ugly, and we played each other 2 years back to back in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, then I got to Houston, and we played Golden State again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been playing against them for the longest, for most of my career.
And CP, you mentioned Golden State. I don't know if you saw the report that came out maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, something I didn't know about a potential trade that was offered up. That was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it was.
Yeah, neither did I. I was shocked, and I would love to get CP's thoughts on it. I believe it was you for Klay and Steph, And the report at least said that you had told Golden State you would not extend, if that's the case. Is that a true story? Do you remember it, how it happened,
Yeah,
what
I
that
remember
conversation was
true
like?
story. Yeah, that happened with a few teams. I actually never wanted to come like out west. You know what I mean? I'm born and raised on the East Coast. You know what I mean? So I never was like crazy about LA and all that until I finally got out here and lived out here, right? But at that time, all I knew really about the Bay is because I'd been there to play the games or whatever, and everything was just so Healy, and I just thought about Full House. You know what I mean? Yeah, like for real. I didn't know. And so at that point in my life and talking with my wife and all that stuff, like that's
What team were you on in CP in New Orleans?
I was in New Orleans. Yeah, that was when the whole Lakers thing got nixed.
Oh, got it. It was after the Lakers thing.
Yeah, I could have went to the one team and that team, whatever. But everything happens for a reason. Yeah,
of course, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, one of the other things that came up in the doc was, and CP, this is something you've done your entire career, was that came through very clearly, was Phil talking about trusting teammates, right?
Right.
Talk about being really sure in your skill set, but having to trust a teammate or a colleague to help you get over the hump.
Yeah, I think that is in every part of your life, right? It's at home. My girlfriend and I, you have to deal with it at work. Like, it all comes down to if you really truly want to scale. Like, if you really want to win a lot of games and win championships, or you want to have a house that runs with real efficiency, or you want to have a business that can scale, you have to trust people. And I've been listening to this book the last 2 weeks, and he was one of the points of the book is you hire great people, or you're in the NBA, other people are great, let them be great. Like, you literally let them be great, don't over manage it. But when you're as talented as a guy like CP, you give CP the ball, he could do it all, right? He could score it, he can assist it, he could whatever you need from three to this or that. I'm sure for him, that's not always an easy thing to like, okay, I could do it all, but in order for us to really win, I need these other guys to come along with me. And it's not an easy thing, but you have to do it if you really want to get winning and get scale in a real way.
Yeah, I think at times, obviously it's about the moment and the times that we live in. And if you pass up a game-winning shot on Monday night in January, that Tuesday morning they're gonna rip you, or everybody's gonna say what you should have did or what you shouldn't have did. But when you're a true leader, you have to think big picture. You know what I mean? You just really have to think big picture and have to understand that trusting that guy on that Monday night, it might pay off for you in the playoffs in a time that you really need it. And then and it can backfire on you too. Because if you don't trust that guy on that Monday night in January, right, and then you get to the playoffs and then you pass it to them and they standing there and they not ready for it, I know it. As a star, you're going to cuss them out. Like, yeah, be ready. But they're going to be sitting there like, you don't never pass it to me before. Why you going to pass it now? So it's a balance or whatnot. And you just, I think like Mav said, you got to understand how to delegate too, especially in business. You got to understand how to delegate.
And I think, Michael is the greatest closer I've ever seen in any sport. Football, basketball, baseball. I mean, he closes game series better than anybody I've ever seen. But then you see in a closeout game of his first finals, Phil was on him. And it's something about Phil's brain to know that. Like, he knows Michael will close it, and Michael's first instinct, second instinct, and third instinct is to go close this game, go shoot. So Phil keeps drilling in him, even in that moment where we're about to win a championship. Fine packs. He's open. And that, because he doesn't have to coach Michael to shoot, right? We know that. He knows Michael's going to shoot the ball. He's like, Mike, that's Michael's first, second, and third instinct. But I need to coach Michael to find packs. And Mike took that. And Mike is a very smart guy to take that That's a sign of a great leader, and that's a sign of a person who wants to evolve. And for Michael to do that in Game 5, where he's on the brink of his first championship, tells you everything you want to know about Michael Jordan as a basketball player. He wants to win more than he wants anything else. He's fine with whoever helps him winning. He just wants to win.
CP, before we get you out of here, want to ask you, I think this is perfect setup. We have a new section on our show, the after party, called No Bullshit, right? It's the one question we ask that has nothing to do with the Bulls, Doc. As we mentioned in the opening, you're the president of the NBA's Players Association. Obviously, a really weird time, you probably wouldn't have time to do this. You should be probably at halftime of some game under regular circumstances. The question that's on everyone's minds, do we think we'll play NBA basketball again this season? Not asking for any necessarily insider information, just would love your thoughts on, will there be basketball?
I'm telling you, man, I hope so. And know that every player that I've talked to or whatnot, like we want to exercise any possibility, anything to get out there and play. Like any resources, anything that we can do to get out there and play. And I said this a couple times, but as bad as we want to play, like we fans of the game. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can name probably one basketball player that's not watching this doc right now, right? Like this is almost the closest thing that we get into hoops right now. And this right here, imagine if we was like in season right now, or if the playoffs was going on right now and we was getting to watch this doc. Imagine what the games would be like. Cause I know for me, like I watch this and I'm like, I can't wait to work out tomorrow. And I'm not even going on the court. This is literally just lifting weights. So we hoping and trying to keep getting as much information as we can as far as the virus, because we don't want to put anybody in danger, jeopardy, or anything like that. We know everybody has families and things like that to worry about. But we know if there was a way to get us back playing, I think that would do a lot for not only us, but for everybody. Everybody that's waiting.
Absolutely. CP, one of the things you mentioned I saw recently, because they had just announced that, some teams may open up their facility May 1st and allow guys to work out if their state laws, allow it or whatnot. And you had a very strong point of view on, you want to play just as much as anyone else does, but there's a right way to do it, ensuring the health of players and those things. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right. I think the fact that, whatever may happen as far as once we make a decision about the facilities or whatnot, I think it's just trying to get some type of sense of normalcy. You know what I mean? Not saying that everything is over or whatnot, but just trying to step by step figure out what this going to look like going forward. But I've said this before, if we do get to a place where we can play, guys are going to need ample amount of time to prepare. Y'all know, like, everybody don't live in like one big dormitory. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. You know what I mean? Like this guy may have a nice gym at his house that he can lift and work out at. This guy might not have nothing. This guy might be living in an apartment or something like that, or a condo. Yep. And a thing like, it's no woe is me by no means, but I was telling somebody the other day, I haven't shot on a real goal since warm-ups against the Utah Jazz. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be in the backyard. I'll be in the backyard with little Chris playing horse, but I don't know if that translates to the real thing. You know what I mean?
That is not. I agree. So, I've been saying the same thing. Because to Chris's point, not only do everybody not live in the same dormitory, but some people live in New York and some people live in Memphis and LA, and everybody's situation, just density and city-wise, is different. And the truth is, if you're an NBA player, most are like, why would I have a gym in the house? I go to the facility every single day. It's open 24 hours. So I get some older players have different situations or financial situations or live further. But it's like, so I agree with Chris, they're going to need some amount of time physically just to get your body back in playing basketball, because we all know it's one thing to practice and do cardio, but when you get in that game, it's a whole different vibe. Those hammies feel your hammies feel way different in a game versus cardio.
I was hooping with my brother a little bit at my house yesterday, and like I made a move and he was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he don't want to be out on IR during quarantine. But that's real, man, because the other thing is whatever point you come back into the season, you know, we competitors. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's a lot of people at home can tell you, like, my mind might be saying one thing, but my body's saying another. You know, when we get out there competing or whatnot, we want to make sure that we putting the right stuff, too, for the fans to see. We don't want no nonsense.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, Mav, you're in Vegas. So I'll lead this question with you. One sentence answer. Do we think there'll be an NBA tournament in Vegas when the season comes back? CP, I'm coming to you next.
No, you
I'm going to try and keep this in one sentence. I, like Chris, hope that the NBA can finish the season by protecting all, including fans, production people who have to produce it for TV. That's what people forget about. There's a big production crew that's a producer for TV, players, coaches, administration, everybody who has to be involved. If it has to be in a single location, I think Vegas would be the best option when I think about the rest of the country.
CP, take us home.
I don't know. That's like my for real answer. Like, I don't know. I ain't gonna say it. I really don't know. You know what I mean? Because like he said, it's a lot of moving parts. Yeah. It's a lot of moving parts. So know that it's a lot of people working on it day in and day out too, just trying to figure out what makes sense and what's possible. Because damn, I miss hooping. Like, I miss it. Like, I miss it. Like, a lot of guys, and I'll just tell you, that first week, you know, guys was like, okay, cool, it's nice, you know.
A little time off.
Trust me, my family live in LA. I was in Oklahoma. So it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Getting to be around my family. But me and my wife was talking about it the other day, and she was just looking at me. And she looked and she was like, what's wrong? I was like, I miss playing. And she told me, I miss watching you play. Like, you know what I mean? So it's part of us. It's part of us in our DNA. So yeah, we gonna try to get this thing back cracking. Just know that.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of WRTS, the After Party. CP, I hope the next time I see you, it's in uniform and on the court, brother, and we can enjoy a glass of vino afterwards. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate you. Stay healthy and good luck with the rest of the season.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Be sure to subscribe right here on the Uninterrupted YouTube channel. For podcast listeners, head to the Uninterrupted WRTS feed, available wherever you get your pods. Fellas, thanks for coming through to the After Party. Catch you on the next episode. Peace.
WRTS After Party.